Okay, we are recording.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I will call the ADR meeting to order. My name is Mark Kruchnin. I'm an ADR member and happen to be the current chair. I'll let the other ADR members quickly introduce themselves, including Stephen Sutro, who does not have a video link at the moment and is listening in.
That's right. I'll say hi first. I'm Steven. I'm happy to be here, and I'm sorry that you can't see my face.
Thanks, Stephen.
I'm Joey Buckingham.
Hi, I'm Laura Dewar.
And Mark, you're next. I think Mark's just getting his, Mark Fritz is just getting his volume set up. We'll let him introduce himself in a minute. I think most of you, hi, Jared.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Good, thanks. I think most of you have been to the ADR meetings before, except for the Mobleys. All welcome. Let me just briefly explain how it works. The town presents a project with a quick summary, and then the design team of the applicant goes over the project further. Members of the ADR may ask questions of the design team. Then we open it up to the public to see if they have any comments. And then at the end of that, we bring it back to the ADR as we all make our recommendations towards the town council. And before we get started on the one main agenda item for tonight, the Mobley residents, I need to have some open time for public comments. If anyone in the audience wants to talk for up to 3 minutes on any topic that is not on the agenda for this evening. And no one does, so we will now move to agenda. Oh, sorry, let's do the approval of the minutes for September 21st. I read over those minutes from the ADR meeting. They seemed fine to me. Does someone else on the ADR want to second that, or does anyone on the ADR have any complaints about the minutes?
I second that. I read them.
Okay, so those are approved. And now, Patrick, it would be great if you could introduce the Mobley Residence Project.
Sure. And then I see we've had a couple of Mark Fritz's appearing in the waiting room. So
Yeah, I finally got it to work. Somehow my audio didn't work the first time coming in, so I'm good. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry.
great. Well, thank you, Chair Kruchnin, members of the Advisory Design Review Group. The item before you is the Mobley Residence at 140 Lagunitas Road. And I will begin sharing my screen here for a brief presentation. So the property is about standard lot size for the zoning district, which has a 1 acre minimum lot size. It's not what we'd consider a hillside sloped lot. It was, according to the county assessor, the development dates for the property were 1971 and 1993, though we have issued several other types of permits in development review over the years. And it's developed with an existing single family residence, which is out there on the property right now. The project proposes to demolish portions of that residence. So the existing house is 5,981 square feet. As it's rebuilt, it would be around 7,460, but that does include covered porches, which are the main addition of the square footage that we'll see with this house. In the town of Ross, we count any porch that's covered and it has a depth greater than 10 feet, counts towards the floor area of the house. So that's why you're seeing that increase in number without a major increase in the footprint of the house itself. Additionally, the driveway would be relocated, and there's no changes proposed to the pool house other than updating the finishes to be consistent with the rest of the residence. So here are the elevations. The bottom are the existing, the top are what are proposed. So generally the silhouette and the massing of the building is not changing. It's generally an update to the materials and the floor plan. So these are the west and east elevations, and then the north elevation. Additionally, as was mentioned, the driveway will be relocated, so it's pushed down a little further along Lagunitas. That'll be accompanied with a new entry gate and fence or wall, as well as some site work. There is a proposal to eliminate the impervious asphalt in places and replace it with porous surfaces that would increase the amount of infiltration of stormwater on the property. The project was noticed to nearby residents and no comments have been received as of tonight's meeting. And so the permits that would be required for this project are design review. We require that for additions that are greater than 200 square feet, as well as for walls that are more than 4 feet tall at the property frontage. Additionally, there's a demolition permit necessary for the demo work that's proposed with this project. So the recommendation is that staff review the project as it relates to our design guidelines and provide a formal recommendation to the town council, which we are currently targeting the November agenda. And that concludes the staff presentation. You're muted, Chair.
Kurt and or Jared, does anyone on your design team want to start off first with the presentation? Or Tammy, I'm not sure which who wants to speak. Someone can go from your side.
Well, Tammy is probably the best public speaker of all of us, but I would just say the following on behalf of Tammy and me. We were thrilled to move to Ross in 1994 when we originally bought what was called the Claxton House. We renovated in 95, 96 with the help and advice of Jared and his team. And we've raised our family and lived pretty hard in the house since then. And that's what really prompts this renovation and update. We want to stay here until we grow even older than we already are. And we're trying to take into account, the next 30 years of our Ross journey with this renovation. But Patrick and Mark, thanks for introducing the project. I would turn it over, unless you have something to say, Tammy, to Jared and Laura.
Thanks, Kurt. We could show you some 3D renderings, but I think they were part of the original package. The house was a remodel, as Kurt said, of the Claxton house, and had some planning, some floor plan deficiencies that we could now remedy. Some of the windows and materials are in need of repair, replacement, but it's the same, similar flavor of the house. It's just a little more developed, a little more detail. And the house is actually a little lower than the original house. And as Patrick said, it's largely the same footprint, but we now have some covered porches at the back and more of a covered porch at the front. I think the Kurt and Tammy have reached out to all the neighbors, the ones that they could get a hold of, and they seem to, they've gotten letters of not approval, of support. And I'm here to answer any questions, Laura, if you have anything else you want to add.
I think that's good.
Great. Okay. Does anyone on the ADR have any questions or comments about the project? Did you all get to see the elevations? Do you want Jared to go over the different elevations? I'm not sure how thoroughly, like I've looked at all the elevations and visited the site. I'm not sure if anyone on the ADR wants to see any particular elevations to discuss it.
Not me.
No.
I think the only thing that jumps out at me, maybe just a little quick conversation about the front treatment, the wall and the gate and whatnot, maybe just to talk a little bit about what's going on there.
I could, Stephen, answer that, and Jared and Laura, please ring in as well. I don't know if Mike is able to be with us or not tonight, but
Actually, Kurt, let me interrupt you for just
yeah,
one
sure.
second. Would it be possible for Laura or Jared to bring up a front elevation from the street view of that gate wall that Mark's talking about? So as you describe it, we could be looking at it.
Sure.
Thanks, Laura.
Let me see.
Yeah, and Stephen, if you could leave that one up right there, Laura, would be perfect. For just a second, I'd frame slightly. When we originally purchased the Claxton house, there was, as there is currently, an existing sort of shared entry drive which was kind of a historic legacy of what used to be the old Green Estate that goes back into the 50s and 60s that occupied this whole area of town. And when it was developed, the old service entrance to the Green Estate was the driveway that we then, the Claxtons, shared with the Cahills next to us, and that we have shared subsequently. The drawback to that was that when our original driveway ran right literally parallel to the Cahill line, and it went all the way behind the house and formed a kind of a circular porte cochere in the original house, that was part of the design flaws that we tried to fix with our first renovation. And at that time, not wanting to be so bold as to go to the town and talk about changing the existing entry, we kept the entry where it was, but we put this kink in the driveway just inside the gate to pull the traffic and the passage and the cars over to the left, where we added the new garage, given we filled in the porte cochere. That has worked actually quite well. The drawback to that is we have this sharp left turn just after you go through the gate. So not every single delivery truck hits our gate, but frequently many do. Whenever somebody like a service provider has a trailer on their truck, they get jacked up in trying to make that left turn. And as I think it was Joey observed, that again, we have multiple cars that sort of park right now facing the house, in front of the house, and kind of block the facade of the house. This solution, by moving the direct entrance up, gives a more direct access, so you don't have that straight kink. We think it's better for fire access and fire engine access as well. It allows the Cahills to have their own interest, which Bill and Jeannie are happy about and supportive of. We're supportive of it as well. And it allows us then to have any car parking that takes place out there to the left, where it's much more screened from the street, as opposed to sitting right in front of the house. That we wanted to do. And in the same time, we have this kind of a jungle of hedge that's frankly existed for the last 50 years along Lagunitas that we've always thought about cleaning up. And if we clean that up and we move the fence in towards the house slightly, we can then improve the walkway in front of the house, which is part of our proposal. We can add a more finished fence, other than the kind of barbed wire fence that's existing and there, and allow, in moving the walkway in off the street, get 3 or 4 more, if we go to the planting of Janelle Hobart's new replanted street trees along the front part of the property, and then a couple more, as Mike has drawn, into the vacated portion of the old driveway, which we think gives a much more landscaped and finished presentation and a more pedestrian friendly passage along the street. So that's the rationale.
Thank you. Maybe just also address the axial nature of that. Maybe someone on the call could do that. It is a little off center from your facade. I was just curious if you could just quickly.
Yeah.
There's a rationale. Just curious why.
Yeah. So the rationale, Laura, slide back so we see the big tree. Yeah. See there is a really big, almost 48-inch diameter Deodora cedar, which is kind of the signature piece of landscaping in the front. And we actually thought about moving the driveway further up Lagunitas so that it was all on a direct line. The challenge with that was we are really, really, really sensitive about encroaching on the tree roots there. We already have some tree roots that are sort of in the existing driveway. And we made the determination that it was better to line up on the existing kind of entry steps that go down into the yard, and then create a little fountain jog in the pathway to the front door, which is the solution we came up with. I mean, an ideal scenario, if that tree could be moved, we would shift it probably 6 feet to the left and do 8 feet to the left. But it really got to a point where we were really concerned about encroaching on the tree with the parking area and the paved surfaces.
Great. Thank you for that explanation. Appreciate that.
And Laura, while we're all looking at this, could you pull up a larger version of the proposed new front gate?
Um,
And just sort of zoom in and make it larger. Oh, yeah, it's that one up, the top one. Okay. Great, thank you. Wait, does anyone from the ADR have any more comments or questions before I open it up to the public, if there is any public listening?
Could you scroll down to the gate below that one? Yeah. Exit gate, okay. Right.
Is that exit gate existing or that's proposed and new?
The exit from the property exists, Mark, and is there. The actual gate design is and would be new. Yeah, we have currently wrought iron gates that are completely transparent except for the tubes in them. I think they're on 4 or 5, 6-inch centers. I can't remember. I know our puppy can't fit out of them, which is a good thing. But yeah, we had way back in 94, 95 had the idea of having the exit gate be solid. There was someone on the council at that point that didn't like that idea. So we ended up with a fully transparent gate. We are, how should I say this? We like this proposal a lot. Part of the reason we wanted a solid gate at the exit is our neighbors, the Skinners across the street from their driveway, kind of look down our exit drive right into our garage. And sometimes it's not the cleanest part of the property, our garage, if the door's open. That said, this is not a go to the mat point. If there's a preference on the design committee, we'd be happy to take that on board and revisit it. But as it's proposed, I think there is separations between the slats here, but there's a very small separation.
Okay, there is actually now a, and Patrick, please correct me because I'm sure I'll be slightly off in this. I believe the existing code is gates can be up to 6 feet tall, but they have to be at least 50% transparent for all new front gates. Is that correct, Patrick?
Give
I
me
think
a
that's-
moment. I'll look through the guidelines. I'm not.
Mark,
familiar
I
with
think
the
that's
subject
I think
matter.
that's to avoid design review. Meaning, I think that they can exceed that in opacity as long as it is approved by the council.
Yeah, well, I am sure if the council approves it, they could do it just, like you could with extra FAR
Sure.
or anything.
So our guideline says that transparent front yard fences and gates over 4 feet tall may be permitted if the design and landscaping is compatible. And then front yard vehicular gates should be transparent to let light and lines of sight through the gate. Solid walls and fences over 4 feet are generally discouraged on property lines adjacent to the right of way, but may be permitted for properties adjacent to Poplar and Sir Francis Street. So it's at least the provision I'm seeing is that it's discouraged to have them fully opaque, and that transparent is what the guideline would like to see. But I don't think there's a hard and fast rule if it's the overall design of the project.
What does the guidelines say about over 4 feet? I'm not clear on that. They're just replacing what they have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is 6 feet.
Right, they're saying if it's over 4 feet, it should be transparent. Meaning if it was only 4 feet tall and solid, then it's fine.
Yeah, it's silent on it if it's under 4 feet. So I think, yeah, they're saying if you're going to have it more than 4 feet in height, it should be transparent.
Mhm.
So, and we can opine on this later when we make our comments. I just wanted to look at it because it was something that stuck out that was sort of different. Okay, does anyone on the ADR have any further comments before I open it up? No? Is there anyone in the public listening who would like to make any comments on this project? Okay, I'll bring it back to the ADR for comments. Who would like to go first? Okay, I will go first on this one then. First of all, I think it's a lovely design, and from every single elevation you have, I think it looks far superior to the currently very nice house that's there. So kudos to you for this project. The only thing that I would change on the whole thing is making that other gate somewhat transparent. And even though I have no doubt that you have great relations with those neighbors across Laurel Grove, and that they would prefer it to be solid. But just for other people looking by, driving by, walking by, the reason they discourage that is just sort of a nicer feel when the gates are more see-through. So it would be great if that gate, and other people can opine on this, I think it would just be great if that one gate more matched a beautiful main front gate you have. So it looks like just another driveway as opposed to some service entrance that needs to be blocked off with a 6-foot wall.
Got it.
Who would like to go next?
Go next. I think it's a lovely design. I have no problem with it. I was curious about the west elevation, the big window in the kitchen.
Mhm.
I was concerned about that in plan and on paper. And when I went to go see the project today, I realized that was actually behind that little pool house. So I was worried it was kind of a lantern effect for the neighbors. It's so far away, it doesn't matter at all. So that was pretty much my only concern. And then I have to say, Mark, I respectfully disagree with you about the gate and the opacity of it, because that's where they're going to park their big trucks and all of their gear. And those aren't the most attractive things to look at. And I think it's okay for them to have kind of a hidden service area over there, and then for the main look at the house to be much more transparent, where you see the beautiful front door and the landscaping. I also think I could support that. You always have to have findings why you would permit something that's not permissible elsewhere. I think Lagunitas Road is really busy, and you have bikers and cars and a lot of people coming by. So that's a type of road where I would say, yes, you could actually have an opaque gate and that would be okay. Other than that, I have no problem with the design. I think it's lovely.
Laura, Mark, Stephen?
I can go next.
Oh, go ahead, Laura, go.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I think it's a great design, very fitting for Ross. And I actually like, even though the new entry is offset from the new driveway and kind of pathway into the house, I still feel like it creates kind of more symmetry with the volume of the building. And it looks less fragmented. It looks kind of, more planned out. And I think the covered porches are great, a great addition for the extra floor space. Completely understand the desire to update your floor plans to make it work better for your life. I don't really see this having any negative impacts on the neighbors. So I'm supportive of the project.
Thanks, Laura. Mark, Stephen?
I can go ahead. I think it's a great project and I support it as it's submitted.
Thank you. And Mark?
Yeah, I concur. I think I would agree with Joey. I think if the exit gate was the only gate, I would probably prefer that to be much more transparent. But yeah, they could ultimately just have a solid fence there, or landscaping. So the primary entrance from the public's view is at the entry side to the driveway. So I think it's appropriate to have one that's solid and one that's open. Again, if you only had a singular gate, I would expect it to be more open. But in this particular case, I think it works. So I don't really have any other additional comments. Really excellent project. Updates the house. Looks terrific.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. So Patrick, you have unanimous approval or recommendation for the town council to approve the project, and 80% of the people like the gates exactly as they were proposed. Great, well, thank you for the presentation. It's a lovely project, and I look forward to seeing it done someday.
All right. So
Thanks, so do we.
so do we. Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks, Mark.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Thanks,
Bye.
Patrick.
Great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we have no conceptual advisory design review, so the next agenda item, number 6, is communication from the staff.
And I don't really have any updates, so we can go for our record time with this meeting.
Great.
Hold on, let's, when's the next one, just to confirm?
So the next meeting will be November 16th, which
Okay,
is close to Thanksgiving, but
week before.
the week before, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. No one will be gone at that point.
And then the December one is, what are we talking? 14th?
third Tuesday, so it would be the 21st.
That's a little problematic. Do you guys want to keep that?
We
What
could,
day
we
is it?
could,
That one often gets canceled, just lack of projects, but maybe not this year. I don't know.
so, yeah, well, probably as staff, we'll look at the volume of projects in the pipeline. If it makes sense to hold that one, and then we can reach out to the ADR group members and see if you wanted to have it a week earlier, perhaps.
Yeah, probably that would be best.
Yeah, that might be just, I don't know. You guys have school kids. I bet they're out that week.
Yeah, the cadence would also be a month. If it was a week earlier, it'd be a kind of a month, because it would seem a bit early on this meeting and subsequent, the next two. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm calendarizing.
Okay,
Put in that word too.
It's not a word.
It's a Joey word.
hey, Mark.
Okay.
Okay, well, good seeing everybody. I now motion to adjourn the meeting.
I
Almost
second
sad.
that
Second.
emotion.